We're watching Soulful Discussions.
All right, so hi, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm doing great. So, how did we just meet right now? How did our paths cross?
Oh man, it was just a chance at the start. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, yeah, you were here napping, and I walked by, and I'm like, hey, excuse me, miss.
Oh yeah.
Like, I actually didn't want to get too close to you. I saw that you were like, in the zone. But yeah, I approached you. What did I approach you about? What are we doing today?
Today we're going to be talking a little bit on viewpoints of maybe reflexology or women's viewpoints on.
Three topics. You got the reflexology portion. So your thoughts about feet, mental health, reflexology. Right?
Okay.
So now when you hear the word feet, what do you think about? First thing that goes to your mind when you start thinking about
I think about feet pics.
Okay, feet pics. Interesting.
Yeah.
Have you dabbled in that?
It's been a thought. It's been a thought. We were at home for COVID for a while. We were looking for money a certain way.
Yeah, and I think a lot of women have found like income, a sustainable income, like doing that. And it's like you don't really have to really do anything crazy or anything. So I mean, interesting that you went there. But we're gonna ask some questions today. And your thoughts about how you feel about that. And you just feel free to answer however you like. Okay.
Okay.
What about mental health? When you hear that term, what does come to mind for you?
Self-care.
Self-care.
Yeah. Self-care is probably the first thing that comes to mind.
I think that's a big one, right? Just like being able to take care of yourself. Like for you, it's probably just coming out to the ocean, like relaxing and listening to the waves.
Yeah, this is actually my form of self-care today.
Absolutely.
I was like, I gotta take some time for myself. I work 2 jobs, so I get
wow.
1 day off every week. So 4 days a month.
Wow.
I gotta find some time to come out, sit down, take a nap. Yeah, I gotta take a nap.
And naps are like, I feel like they're underrated. A lot of people don't believe in it, but for me, I'm a huge proponent of that. Like, just taking that little time and just like, everything else doesn't matter. I'm just in this moment of just resting.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm definitely sorry that we came and interrupted you.
Oh, no. It's okay. I'm enjoying the conversation, so it's been nice. You're awesome.
Absolutely. So we're going to talk a little bit about social media, the impacts it can have on depression and anxiety. So I'd love to get your thoughts when we get there, okay?
Oh, yeah.
And then reflexology, you said you heard a little bit about it, but not too much, right?
Yeah, not too much about it.
Okay.
I can be definitely educated on that.
Nice. I'll give you some information today because I think, especially for like what you're saying, you're going through with migraines, it may definitely be something that's helpful for you. So, all right, you good? Ready?
Good, ready.
All right, let's start with the first question. Okay, so first of all, what are your thoughts about how the world is starting to become more aware of mental health and like what we're starting to do about it? How do you feel about that?
I think it's pretty good that people are becoming more aware of the effects of like how our behaviors affect other people and what we can do to try and lighten that up and soften that and be there for each other rather than knock each other down. But it's so hard with what we're living in because with social media, you have this instant gratification in certain ways. You have people doing Photoshop to make themselves what they're not. Yeah, and it makes it really hard to be comfortable with, number one, the real you, and have to be able to pull away from this image that you're trying to get this instant gratification for and be comfortable in that and not have to be somebody you're not, you know?
Absolutely.
And it makes it pretty difficult, but I like the fact that people are going more towards this movement of trying to be more natural and be okay with yourself and not shame other people with how they are, just as they are.
Absolutely.
I'd like to see a lot more of it though.
Yeah, I think we're a long way from getting to that, but I think like as long as we're having conversations about it, we can start to recognize that those are things that are going on. We can start to make changes in that direction. Absolutely.
Yeah.
In terms of social media, right? First of all, what are your thoughts about it? And then secondly, how do you use it yourself?
Ooh, you know what? That's a loaded question.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. No, it's tough because I'm actually part of the reason why I'm trying to come to the beach on Saturdays and take myself and like unplug from certain things is because I myself am a victim of the rabbit hole. I am, I'll go on social media and say, I'm using this for inspiration. I like to do makeup. I try to do TikTok videos.
Nice.
So I'll go on for inspiration, and next thing I know, I've been sitting down on the edge of my bed for 2 hours, and I haven't started a dang thing. Then I get upset with myself. Because I'm like, I wasted all this time just like watching all these videos. Next thing I know, I'm just watching like videos of food. Now I'm hungry. I'm like, maybe I'll go eat something, and it's just distractions. It's distraction. So I am working on trying to pull away and unplugging of that. Because it can be, there are both good and bad distractions. It's on how much you can limit yourself and how much discipline that you have to be able to say, okay, you know what, I've had enough of screen time today. It's time to unplug. Yeah, I got to do something for me, something like beneficial, whether it's like clean up somewhere or, you know, read a book or do something that you don't normally do, try to learn a new talent.
That's great.
Yeah, so.
And I think it's a tool, right? So like kind of like what you're saying, like it's all about how you decide to like use it, because you can use it for scrolling through, or you can use it for business purposes, or like whatever it may be.
People can benefit in so many good ways. It's just it's that discipline portion.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Working on the discipline.
Let's go, man. We all got a long way to go with stuff. Absolutely. In terms of social media, right? Let's say somebody came to you, right, and they're like, "Hey, I want to give you the power to change something about it." Is there anything you would change, or do you kind of feel like it's okay the way that it is?
I feel like it would have to vary per person. Okay. That's a hard question because it varies per person on like what maybe each person needs from the social media. Okay. Myself, I would put a time limit. That would be the one thing we would change for Ryla. We would put a time limit on Ryla. But overall, I think, you know, they've got the filters of the bashing and like possibly reporting of people not being positive about what another person has to say, because at the end of the day we all have different viewpoints. Absolutely. And just because we don't all agree on something doesn't mean that we have to disrespect another person's opinion. Absolutely. And there's a lot of that. So if there were like filter that we could place about not bashing other people, it'll probably be a really, really good thing to see.
I like that. Absolutely. In terms of anxiety, right? Is there anything you deal with? You don't have to go too in depth. It's just like, is there anything that like you deal with on a day-to-day basis, or maybe every once in a while? And if so, what do you do like in those moments when you start to feel anxious? Do you have any coping mechanisms or things that you do to help you with that?
Yeah, actually, I do have pretty severe anxiety. I've come from a point where, especially after we had come out of COVID and we had shut down for a couple years, I forgot how to socialize with people. Yeah. It gets me nervous.
So here, there's some practice right here.
So I was a little nervous. I was starting to feel a little anxious. My body gets a little tingly. I feel like tingly in my face a little bit. So I just breathe and remember that, you know what, it's gonna be okay. Even if I stumble on my words, even if I stumble on maybe an issue, at the end of the day, I just gotta relax, because wherever there's a problem, there's always a solution. Absolutely. And then I really just try to focus on my breathing. That's like one of those things I've tried to practice through meditation, is like just focus on breathing and where my breath is flowing in and out. Usually that helps a lot. It helps like slow my heart rate down. Absolutely. Helps me center myself and say, hey, if there's a problem,
solution.
There's a solution.
Let me ask you this, because you mentioned breathing, right? Do you have a number? Because usually most people have like a number that they count to, right? Like my number is 5, right? Do you have a number that you like kind of try to stay focused on?
Yeah, I like to count to 5, partially because I think that's a good sized breath for me. It's where I've found that I can fill up my stomach with breath, and then my chest, and breathe in. I do like the number 7, but I can't inhale to 7.
Yeah, that's a little too long.
I'm like 7 seconds.
That's a little too long.
Exhaling. I'm like,
I feel it. Let's get into these questions. I'll be intrigued to see what your thoughts are. Okay. What are your thoughts about your feet? How do you feel about it?
I have my good and bad days.
Good and bad days.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
What does that mean?
There are days that I'm like, don't want to wear sandals. I gotta get a pedicure. Okay. And days like that is when I find time after work. I try to come home. Maybe I'll do some self-care. They've got, like those foot peels that make your feet all soft again. So I think, like, visually, my feet personally, they have their good days and bad days. I don't know what it is, but that's probably just me being picky, and people pinpoint, people are their own worst critics. I think that's probably one of my biggest downfalls.
Absolutely.
One of my biggest
I don't think it's just you, right? It's everybody. Like, because even for me, right, when I do these interviews, like, I like to like go home and listen to like, okay, what was said. First of all, did I have a good flow in terms of the way I was speaking? Like, did I like give the other person time to talk? Like, all these things are like things, and like actually in the moment I might have been perfect and things might have been great, but like I'm still like trying to perfect and like become better. And so I think we're always constantly trying to chase that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. that, oh man, it is so tough. It's like
It's a hard one.
yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta find peace at some point. I'm
Absolutely.
trying to get to that point where it's like, this is, you know what, this is what I got.
Yeah.
There ain't no changing it. So
Yeah, exactly.
I gotta be
There it
happy
is.
with what I got.
Gotta be happy with it. Let me ask you this: have you ever received compliments on your feet? Anybody ever said to you, "Hey, you have nice feet"?
Surprisingly, yes.
Surprisingly,
That's
yes.
why I'm like, am I gonna bad thing?
Why is it surprising though?
I think because maybe my feet aren't something that I show much love to. I'm trying to show more love to.
Okay.
And as I'm showing more love, I'm feeling more comfortable with them.
I see. Okay, so is it because like I guess kind of like what you were saying before, right? For you yourself, you actually like have those moments where you're like, they could be better.
You know, like, okay, my toes look cute.
Yeah,
you
so
know?
if somebody comes to you, you're like, oh wow, really? Like, okay, like that's surprising. Like, I see.
I think it might depend on if my toes are done or not.
Okay.
I think that's what it is.
Really?
If I have my toenails like painted, they're nice. Even if I have like all of my polish removed,
Mhm.
as long as they're not like chipped
I see what you're
or
saying.
things like that, maybe my cuticles are like got some hangnails or something because it's dry.
Yeah. You're like in those moments.
In those
Probably
moments,
not.
I'm like, I gotta show you some love, girl. You barking down there.
Love it. In terms of compliments you receive, right? Well, first of all, let me get to this. Let's say it's a rare occasion. You're walking out. You do have sandals on. Let's say your toes are done, right?
Are not done?
No, they are done.
Oh, they are done.
Somebody
okay.
comes up to you and crossing, they're like, hey, you have nice feet. What does that compliment do for you, like in that moment, right there, first 10 seconds?
Probably, well, number one, it makes me feel good, obviously. It makes me put a smile
There it
on my
is.
face, brings a little warm feeling
Yeah.
in. And it kind of makes me want to walk with my feet first.
Yeah.
I want to walk with my foot, best step out, you
Absolutely,
know?
I love that.
It feels
I love
good.
that.
That's funny that you say that because I
Absolutely.
haven't been asked that question. I haven't had to think about it.
Yeah.
But first thought that comes to my head kind of makes me stand a little taller.
Very
Like,
good.
yeah, you know what?
Because I feel
Not a
like
lot of
compliments
people-
are supposed to make us feel that way, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So let me ask you this, right? Compliments you receive, not just about the people in general. Is there a certain compliment that when you get it, you're like, man, that made my day. It made me, I'm feeling my best
Not
today.
just pertaining to feet,
Yeah,
just a compliment in
anything,
general.
Anything.
I appreciate compliments because I'm really harsh on myself.
I see.
So I think I appreciate them in general.
Okay.
But I think I appreciate it most when people compliment like who I am. Like maybe my soul or my energy or what I bring out in people.
Yeah.
Like I really like to hear people feel like what I'm made of and know that it's also warming to other person.
Absolutely.
I think that's probably like the best feeling for me. If we're talking like what you see, I think my best, I like being complimented about my eyes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
I like being complimented about my eyes. Eyes are the
Nice.
window to the soul.
Nice. That's so true. Like, we see a lot there, right?
Yep.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this. In terms of if you're dating somebody or going to start dating somebody, what is something you would consider to be a potential deal breaker and a potential partner that you date? Uh-oh. Is this
going
another
through-
loaded question right here?
Yeah, honestly, you got a lot of good questions. Man, you got a lot of good questions. I'm coming out of like a time in my life where I'm saying no more of a lot of things.
Okay.
A lot of things I used to put up with, a lot of things I wasn't able to hold boundaries with.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's it, no more. You're
Love it.
cut. I'm trying to put those into practice. I think one of the things I try to look for is how deep a person has met themselves now. That's probably the biggest lesson I've taken away
Wow.
from these last few relationships because
Yeah.
you can only meet somebody as deep as you've met yourself.
That's a
And
good one.
especially, you know what I mean?
That's a good one.
I'm trying to take the time to get to know somebody
Yeah.
and figure out how well they know themselves because in the past relationships I've been with, it's been hard to connect with somebody because
Yeah.
they don't know where they're at.
They haven't done any work or anything
Yeah,
like that.
and then-
Absolutely.
I'm not saying somebody has to be perfect. I'm not
Yeah,
saying
no.
somebody has to know exactly who they are, but at least be self-aware
Yeah.
of that process and that journey because it makes it easier for me as a person because I'm also on that path.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out like, holy crap, Ryla, do you really know who you are?
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And it's all about discovering yourself.
Yeah.
I feel like life is all about discovering because there's so many things you can learn. There's so much that's untouched. Like, it's just there's so much to go. So I think a red flag for me would be like really like shallowness, maybe not being self-aware of their emotions or their word
Yeah.
on what it can do to other people.
Yeah.
People are just like saying things, saying emotions without finding the
thought or anything,
solution.
yeah.
Or being like, hey, I'm feeling this. Can we sit down and talk about this
Yeah.
together? I'm like, ooh, brownie points. I like that. I like that.
Love
yeah.
it, love it.
So,
Let me ask you this: how often do you get pedicures?
I'm sorry?
How often do you get pedicures?
Ooh, I've been giving myself some pedicures because money's a little tight. The price of everything is going up.
Absolutely.
Now I try to do it bi-monthly. But
Okay, so
I would like
every
to.
2 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no.
Oh,
Wait a minute. I'm so
twice
sorry.
twice a month.
Yeah, twice a month.
So every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks.
2 to 3 weeks, probably.
I try to do it every 2 to 3 weeks if I
Okay.
have a chance
Gel or
to. No, just polish, clear
okay,
coat.
clear coat.
But
Oh, okay,
yeah,
nice.
but I do the whole thing at home. I like soak my feet a little bit.
That's
I'll
dope.
put on a good movie.
That's
And in the
dope.
whole process, I also do like a face mask and everything. Yeah, so it'll be like a self-care night.
That is dope.
And it's really, really good. I look forward to it.
Nice.
Yep.
Let me ask you this: have you ever heard of a medical pedicure before?
I have not.
Okay, so
Okay.
that's when you go see a podiatrist, right? Especially
Okay.
for the foot. What they do is they take a look at your feet to make sure your nails are growing correctly. They check
I
your
might need
toe
help with
alignment.
that.
They check like your feet for like dead skin, fungus. They do all the work there with like medical grade equipment. Like these are people who can give you like insight. Like let's say if you have a problem with certain shoes you wear, like you feel a lot of pain in, right? They can tell you like why that is. Maybe you need a special orthotic or something like that. What would your thoughts be on seeing something like that? Because it's almost like going to like a dentist, but this is for like your feet.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you how much that range is about.
Ah.
I would be definitely interested
Absolutely,
in
I'll
that.
give you some information later. Because
Yeah.
there's actually a lady who I interviewed here, and she told me she went and saw a podiatrist, and she said there's a lady in Long Beach, and she says apparently like she's on Groupon or something like that. So
Yeah.
you might be able to look into that.
Yeah, because
absolutely.
I'll be honest. I think the reason why I had not shown too much love to my feet before is because on my big toes, I do have an issue kind of where like my nail grows down a little bit into my toe. So it can be uncomfortable. I try to make sure that anything, if it's like growing too deep, I try to like cut it off.
Cut it off, yeah.
Yeah,
But you might need to go see them so that they can tell you the right way to do it.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Because there have been a couple occasions I'm like, ooh, I cut too deep. I'll go walk, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope I didn't make it worse.
Yeah.
What if it starts growing even worse now?
That'd be dope.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm like, fortunately, I've dodged a couple bullets.
Yeah,
As
there you
the
go.
couple days go by, I'm like, okay, no, I'm
There
good.
it is.
I'm good.
Nice,
But,
nice.
yeah.
All right. Let me ask you this: how often do you wear open-toe shoes, sandals, flip-flops, things like that?
I do like to wear heels during my day job.
Okay.
So sometimes it can be like 3 times a week. It really depends. It probably depends on my mental that week.
Okay, I see.
Because if I'm not feeling it, I'm
Yeah.
not really
Yeah.
dressing
I
up,
ain't
which I
wearing
know.
that.
Yeah, I know I should because
Yeah.
when you look good, you feel good.
That is
But
true.
sometimes I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna wear some flats today.
There it is.
Just some
She
flats.
never beat a pair of flats. Man.
Yeah. So I would say maybe like sometimes like 2 to 3 times a week.
Okay.
During the week and occasionally maybe once on the weekends, depending on if I'm trying to just put on some slippers,
Yeah.
run out of the house, get
Do
some
some
things
errands
done.
and stuff?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Nice. How do you go barefoot, no shoes?
I could probably sum it up to like once or twice a month.
Once or twice a month. Okay.
Yeah, I do like to walk barefooted places.
Okay.
For like grounding purposes.
Ah, there we go. Yes, you brought it up. There it is.
Yes.
Wonderful.
I do like to feel the earth and sink my feet in for grounding purposes.
Nice.
But with my schedule,
It's hard to
I gotta
kinda
make
build up the time.
time.
Yeah.
I used to love going to the mountains. Like I do the mountains for grounding. I do the beach
That's
for
lovely,
cleansing.
man. That's lovely.
Yep.
Absolutely. I always love when I meet people who have had the experiences with like earthing and grounding because it's always great to hear their stories. So for you, like when you go and do that, right? Because like maybe you had a long week of work, but then you take that time to just go out and just like ground where you're at. What is like the difference in like the feelings that you have afterwards?
Oh my gosh, I always walk away feeling lighter, feeling like genuinely a more peaceful. It's almost like my heart is beating more peacefully. It's beating softer, like calmly, safely.
That's
you know, it feels it when I leave. I just feel so relaxed. It feels like my soul got a massage.
Yeah.
It feels good.
Absolutely.
Like you know when you walk out, you get a massage. You're like, okay, release your strain. I'm so relaxed. I think I might be sleepwalking.
Absolutely.
It feels like that. Once I get home, I'm like, I'm really happy I did that
That's
because
dope.
when you try to make plans, sometimes it can be chaotic. You can be running late, and you're like, oh my god, maybe I shouldn't even go at all.
Yep.
I was actually doing that today. I was running really late. I was trying to be here at 9 a.m. And I got here at 5 o'clock p.m.
So the thing is, first of all, you always meant, this is what I've found like with my interviews, you always meant to be where you're supposed to be at that time.
Yep.
Right? Like if you and I, like if you came at 9, you and I probably don't meet. Cause I just drove all the way from Dana Point, my girlfriend's house. Like so yeah, I'm on my way home, and I always like to stop over here on my way back just to see if I can get any interviews. But yeah, so we could have missed each other.
See, what did I say when we started? The stars crossed.
There it is.
It was supposed to be.
There
we were
it is.
exactly where we were supposed to be. It stars aligned.
Love it. All right, so now, can we see what your feet look like?
There's Sandy and I.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
I have a towel we can clean them off for you.
Okay, I'm alright with that.
All right, cool.
I'm like, they look cute today. I'm a little chipped. It looks like walking over here.
Don't worry too
Okay.
much. All right, so first of all, the one thing I noticed, your feet are on more the slender side, right? More
little
not
bony.
too wide.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and it looks like, let me see here. Second toe's a little bit longer, right?
Yep.
Okay, you know what that's called?
No.
A Grecian toe alignment. So yeah, so for people who are like usually born in Greece, they find like, I think it's like 46 to 48% of those people there like have a toe that's like that. That's like so you might have some Greek heritage or something like that.
Wow.
Never know. Absolutely.
That's pretty cool. Thank you.
If your big toe was bigger, it would be Egyptian. The Egyptian toe alignment. Yeah.
Interesting.
Absolutely. They have some for all over. There's some for Norwegian. They have some for like Rome, some for like Asian. Like there's all types of different like toe alignments depending on where you. Yeah.
Really?
Absolutely.
Okay. Cool. I gotta look into that.
Absolutely. So let me get you to put your feet out straight like this. Okay, and then toes up like this.
Uh-oh.
Cool.
I'm dry. No.
Don't worry about it. It's not dry.
Time for the moisture pack.
There's just sand on there right now. You're good. So let me ask you this. How are you feeling? We've been talking now for about 20 minutes. Like, we're taking a look at your feet now. Thoughts? How are you feeling right now?
I am.
Because you're kind of dissecting yourself. I can't hear you like, I don't know, but this is moisture and all that. So you're dissecting yourself.
I am. I'm picking.
Oh, okay.
I'm picking.
All right.
Little nervous. Feeling a little anxiousness because it's not something I'm used to putting my feet on camera.
It's not common, right?
But
absolutely.
Fortunately, your vibe is like making me comfortable.
Thank you so
yeah.
much.
So it's probably you.
So let me give you a little bit of insight into like the mental health side of like why I got started with this. Okay. So first of all, have you ever heard of exposure therapy?
I want to say I've heard of it maybe once in like a conversation, but I don't know. I haven't heard of it. I would like to be educated.
So here's what exposure therapy is. Let's say you're uncomfortable in a certain situation, right? Like you tend to overthink in the situations you're in, right?
Okay.
Therapists will tell you go out, right?
And
they want you to do that over and over again, right? With the whole mindset being that you're gonna feel uncomfortable, right? There's nothing you can do about that, right? But what you can do in those moments is like learn to cope with it. Like, so I'm feeling nervous right now, but then I start to ask myself, okay, like, is anything happening that's threatening my life? Anything threatening my safety or anything? And if not, then like, what are you really worried about, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times our mind like will create different things to like prevent us from moving forward.
Yeah.
Right? So like when you ask yourself those questions, you go through that. It's supposed to allow you to know like, okay, it's cool to move on because nothing's gonna happen in this situation, right?
Yeah.
So when I heard about that, I was like, man, I'm a chronic overthinker. Like, I could be presented with something and I'll start to be like, well, let me weigh this versus this and let me think about this. And a lot of times it's like, it's not that serious. It's not life or death, right? So I was like, man, that would be dope to go out and start a YouTube channel where I'm basically asking questions and see how the interview's going on. And then we get to a point to see if like, can you continue to be comfortable in the moment that we're in, right? Because everything's going fine. But do you get to a point where you're like, I'm uncomfortable, or do you continue to be comfortable, right? And then can you come out of that comfort zone, right? So the whole point of the interview is to show women's reactions to how they feel in these moments, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, like let's say if somebody like was into feet, like they like feet, right? They can learn to like be able to go out and express that to others because they know like, okay, I might get this reaction here, I might get this, but they'll know like, well, it's not gonna be the end of the world. Nobody's gonna like sit up here and do anything to me. It'll just probably be a yes or a no, right?
Yeah.
So that's the whole point of time. Exactly. So the whole point of my channel is to try to normalize the conversation of feet like through my interactions with women.
Okay.
What are your thoughts about that? Kind of like what I'm trying to do with the channel.
I like that.
Yeah.
I really, really like that. It's much appreciated because it's one of the things that, we don't go much thinking about, especially like showing love to our feet. And our feet are what take us places. You know, we need it. We need it.
So that's what I'm trying to do is promote like the self-care part that you talk about. A lot of people don't know about like medical pedicures, the benefits it can have. Like reflexology, we talk about that. We talk about like the earthing and grounding. Like these are all things that are beneficial. You have to do with your feet. But sometimes people, when they hear feet, they think, oh, it's weird, it's odd, it's things like that. But it's like, what's really wrong with it? Like everybody has it. So like, what's the issue, right? So,
yeah, I can't believe my first thought was feet pics.
Yeah, no.
Now I feel
I will tell you, we're gonna talk a little bit after we're done, okay? Because like there have been some women who have come on my channel and they decided to get into foot modeling because of it. So
because they started to love baby.
They started to love it. Well, because like first of all, sometimes they don't think. Like they don't have positive reference points for like my feet look nice, right?
Yeah.
So then my interviews come on and they hear like, oh, you have nice feet. So then they're like, oh, well, actually I do have nice feet. So now let me go out and see how I can do. So
put that best foot forward again.
We don't know. Like I'll talk to you after we're done though. So let's talk a little bit about reflexology, and then we'll get up out of here. Okay. So reflexology is all about the different pressure points you actually have in your hands and your feet, right?
Okay.
Those pressure points actually connect to different parts of your body. So, for example, through massage, through acupuncture, through acupressure, you can alleviate stress and tension to various parts of your body. So, you were kind of saying, like, when you got it, like, I've been dealing with migraines, right?
Yeah.
There's actually a portion of your foot and your hands you can massage that alleviates the tension you feel in those moments. So, if you put your palm out like this, right here, over here, that's like connects to the head.
Okay.
So if in those moments you start to feel that, you apply pressure there and massage and circular motion, you'll start to like feel some of that tension go away. Also on your feet, you put your feet up straight. Right here below the base of the big toe, right here, apply some pressure there, massage there. Definitely alleviates a lot of that pressure you feel.
Okay.
There's also a piercing you can get in your ear that does the exact same thing.
I've heard of that, but I didn't look into the location. I've thought about it, but I'm like, I'm a wild sleeper. That's the thing. And I've heard that with the ear piercings, you got to really be careful on how you sleep.
Yes.
I'm a wild sleeper.
Yeah.
I'll go back and forth.
But it's definitely something that's beneficial.
Yep.
So these are things, like if you can't do that, definitely think about doing the one ear.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
I'm going to try that because I get them seasonally. So it's not something that I deal with all year round.
Okay.
But when I do get them, it is like debilitating for me. And I just, oh my God, it makes like the quality of life go down sometimes because it's like, I gotta be a vampire, I gotta stay inside. I gotta try to stay near like cold compresses, cold showers. Like me submersing myself in an ice cold shower helps me so much. And I just let it all run on the left side of me down this way. So I'm gonna try these. I actually brought some of my essential oils over here because I was afraid the heat was gonna trigger me as I was hiding my face. Yeah.
And that's why, you know what? Like I love giving this because like when I walked through, you said you were doing medication and stuff like that. It's a more holistic approach for you. So you can just go home and just give yourself a little bit of a massage and you start to feel that tension like going away little by little. So definitely something for you there. Absolutely. So now with that being said, like we always get in reflexology, we like to ask about sensitivity. How ticklish do you tend to be?
Oh my God. Well, please, if we're doing a tickle test on this, please, can I pass?
Hold on, because I got something for you. When you get pedicures, are you ticklish?
Yes, I actually have to ask them that there's no need to like do the scrub on my feet. There's no need to like massage it, unfortunately. I'll take the massage on the calf and the leg.
I have a trick for you though.
Really? I need it because
that will help with that. Do you mind if we test it? Because I like to show you first. Like I want you to see how ticklish it is, and then afterwards I'll show you the trick.
I'm like ticklish till I cry. I'll kick. Someone's gonna get hurt. Type of.
I'm gonna help you out with that right now. All right, cool.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do is have you put your feet up straight, like you had before. All right, and then I'm gonna start with the right foot, and then I'm gonna work my way to the left.
Oh man, I'm already nervous.
Bottom to top, and then I want you to tell me where you feel it at the most. Okay.
You know what's interesting? I have a question for you.
Yeah. Sure.
I got a question for the
interviewer.
In there. Okay, I've heard that also being ticklish is like a mental thing, which
it is.
Okay, because I've felt it that sometimes someone like they know after knowing I'm ticklish, they'll be like, I'm gonna tickle you, or they come close to me. I'm like, oh my God, I'm already giggling, and I'm like, it already feels like you're tickling me, but you're not touching me yet.
It is a mindset. So the trick that I'm giving you is part of that.
I'm
mindset.
like, I already feeling tickling me already.
So let's get into it real quick. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is, like I said, start with the right.
Okay.
We'll work our way from bottom to top, and then we're gonna go to the left. Okay. So flex them up a little bit more. There we go. Cool. All right. So let's start here. 1, 2, 3. Do I keep them flexed? Yeah. Just try to relax. Okay. 1, 2, 3. All right. Where do you feel it at the most? It's right in that arch and at the top.
Yep.
Okay? So not so much at the bottom, but like right in here.
Yep.
Okay. So here's what I'm doing. I'm gonna try the left now. You tell me if this one is worse.
Okay.
Usually one is worse than the other one is. Okay. You ready? All right. Here we go. This one's worse. You felt it right at the bottom.
Yep.
As soon as I went here, you felt it immediately. All right. So here's what I want you
I'm
to do.
sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Like, feel free to do how you want. Here's the trick. I want you to wiggle your toes while I'm doing it. Okay. Wiggle. Is it more or less?
Oh.
Is it less?
Way less.
Do you know why?
Way less.
Do
Nope.
you know what? So, first of all, you're actively thinking about doing something else, right? So
Okay.
remember how you were talking about earlier, like it's a mindset, right? You're actively thinking about, I need to wiggle my toes. So now you're not focusing so much on being tickled.
Yeah.
Second of all, your muscles are moving. So
Okay.
like the energy gets moved around. It doesn't get stuck in one area. So that's a trick for you. You go get your pedicure, just wiggle your toes a little bit. Helps you out.
Okay,
There it
thank
is.
you.
Let's try the left. Left was worse.
Okay.
Okay, so tell me if it's some relief here. Wiggle. All right.
Oh my gosh.
Less.
It's almost like it's hard to focus on also wiggling at the
Yeah.
same time, but it is like cut in half.
Night and day?
Yeah, at least.
There it is.
That is crazy.
All right, so I'm gonna get you to do a couple exercises with your feet. And this is the test dexterity, flexibility that you have in your feet. Okay.
Ooh,
See if you
okay.
have fluid motion.
I've had a couple foot injuries due to
Okay.
sports.
All right.
And one was also a drunk occasion that
Oh.
I may have like twisted my ankle that was so bad it caused bruising all throughout like the side of my
Okay.
foot and toes.
Okay.
Have I ever seen a doctor after? No.
All right.
So the flexibility we might play
Might not
around
be there
with.
as much.
Yeah.
I have some tricks for you for that too. Okay.
Okay.
So here we go. What I want you to do first: bend your toes, make a fist. Tell me if you feel pain or discomfort when you're doing that. Is that easy to do? Hard to do?
In one part on the top of my foot here, I
Little
had
pain?
fallen. Yeah, I had
Okay.
fallen down the stairs. In my heels.
Okay.
My
Oh, wow.
heels had a strap that like covered my toes this way.
Okay.
And when I fallen down the stairs, the heel had hooked the stair.
Oh,
my
God.
foot went down and my toe went this
Got
way.
stuck?
Yeah. So
nice.
the strap did break,
Ah.
but when my big toes, like my
Yeah,
toes
yeah.
were crunched like this, so it put I actually couldn't walk for a
So
while.
much pain right there.
Yeah. So
Okay.
there's a lot of tension right in here
Got
on
it.
the top, and it actually, if I walk too much on it,
Okay.
it causes a lot of discomfort on here and in this area.
Okay.
I don't think something had healed properly, probably.
Probably not, but I still have a trick that will help loosen up that area. Okay?
Oh, okay.
So here's what I want you to do next, okay? I want you to, toes back up, straight
Toes
like
back
this,
up.
okay? And then
I'm
let me
digging
get
a hole
you to,
There we go.
okay, and then let me get you to spread your toes. Tell me if you feel pain or discomfort. Easy? Pretty good
Yeah,
spread
pretty
there.
easy.
You doing yoga? Anything?
I used to do yoga.
Okay,
yeah.
probably why. Okay. The last thing I want you to do, wiggle your toes for about 10 seconds. Tell me if you feel pain, discomfort, cramping, anything like that happen. Is that easy to do?
Just that left big toe.
So it's still this one
yeah,
over here.
just the
Okay.
left big toe. I can feel it getting a little tired.
Okay, cool. Go ahead and relax. All right, so first of all, here's a trick for you. Something that you can do in the mornings when you wake up.
Okay.
Take a golf ball or a tennis ball, right? What
Okay.
you do is you just roll your foot across it, right? What it does is it loosens up all the tendons, the different muscle groups that you have down here, and makes it a little bit more loose. So
Okay.
it'll allow you to be able to make some of those movements a little bit more easier because you're having trouble with them. And then just practice some of those movements, okay? Because
Okay.
you probably don't do that. I'm imagining like
Yeah, no.
it's the first time you've had to do them, so there you go.
That'll be
Absolutely.
good. And it's something easy that you can do maybe while you're brushing your teeth in the morning.
Yeah,
just like
something
roll
simple.
it 15 times on each
And
foot
then
or
do
something.
each foot, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. That'll help me out.
Nice,
yeah.
nice. So let's wrap up the interview now. In terms of my approach, right? When I came up and I asked you, hey, you're interested in doing an interview, was my approach good? Was it bad? What were your thoughts about my approach?
Your approach was actually, it was good because as first I was a little reluctant, I was a little
Yeah.
nervous. I was like, I might not be good in front of a camera.
You've been excellent. Over 30 minutes and you've been great.
No, thank you. I was totally nervous.
Okay.
But
Me too. Don't think that on this side I'm not. I feel those same emotions because I never know what's going to happen, right?
you seem great with people.
I am,
wouldn't have
but like
guessed.
the emotion is still there because like first of all you're around a bunch of people, you're out in public. I don't know what your thoughts are, so it's like
Yeah.
always like inside too. Yeah.
And you know what? Stepping back in very quickly,
Yeah.
back to the social media thing, it's another thing too I've noticed, because I'm more on the friendly side of the
Okay.
females. These females these days, they can be very unapproachable,
Oh, man.
very rude, very just like thinking everybody wants to get at them, or everyone wants to this and
Yeah.
everyone wants that. Now I'm not saying that there isn't that out there, because
Oh,
it
for
is
sure.
very, very
100%.
true. But in my experience, like if you're a nice person, you tend to get niceness back.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be creepy all the time.
Yeah.
Like people can just want a conversation.
Yeah.
So it's like I feel like that's dying a little bit because people are so behind their screen. People
Yeah.
would stick with what they're comfortable maybe with.
Yep.
And it's like the real people interaction that you get in real life is like that fire is burning
Nothing
out, and
beats
it's so
that.
sad to see.
Yeah, yeah.
So sad to see.
Nothing
So
beats that.
you're awesome. You were totally approachable. You did not you gave me that approachable vibe. You gave me that like, I can feel like that you met yourself deeply.
I have. I've been
Yep.
through some things. I've learned some things.
Yeah.
Love. You learn, like, you know, you love somebody. Sometimes it doesn't work out. You start to love. Okay, what do I need to do to like love myself more and like move forward? So
Yep.
yeah, definitely have
Yeah.
had those experiences.
You have that warm feeling that you give out to other people. It's like, hey, you know, I just want to
I
talk to
appreciate
you.
that. Thank you so much.
And I thought I felt, you know, where I live. So he's got some knowledge that he wants to share with you. So I was curious what you had to say.
Love that.
Yeah.
In terms of the interview, right, start to finish, see how everything was going in the line. Did it make sense? Did you learn anything new from the information?
I learned actually quite a few.
Oh, okay.
I learned number one, the pinpoints that can help me with my migraines.
Mhm.
Two, I learned that there are people out there that are trying to help us out. Brittany.
Trying to get a lot better
Yeah.
at doing this, absolutely.
Yeah.
Man.
You know, I learned that there's, you know, it's hard because there's messages and everything.
Yeah.
But on a light note, I learned a lot about my feet today. I learned about some pinpoints. I learned things that I can do to go ahead and
Alleviate that
stress.
tension you feeling.
Yeah, and then also not just in like a feet sense, but
Yeah.
maybe in another sense of, you know, doing something to distract yourself from another feeling that can be applied in other ways.
Yeah.
We talked about the anxiousness or maybe a way of how I can cope. I'm like, you know, that might be a good thing to do. Maybe I can, if I'm feeling anxious and that's all I can focus on, maybe I could wiggle something. Maybe
That's
I could,
true.
you know, that fluid motion.
Absolutely.
Put on a good song and
Do a
just
little dance or something like that.
yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly.
Yeah, I love that.
So I want to apply the toe wiggling for tickling in other senses as far as like feeling goes, because
Love that.
anxiousness is like feeling like it's tickling my stomach.
Love it. So the last thing I always ask, right, from a mental health standpoint, a life lesson you learned, wise words that maybe somebody shared with you, that you can share on my channel that can be helpful. And it could be anything, don't overthink it, just whatever comes to mind.
The first thing that came to mind was it's not all that serious. I had one of my coworkers, he was like a mentor for me for like the last 3 years. He unfortunately recently passed.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry to hear that.
he passed very suddenly. Unfortunately, he didn't tell me what was going on with him, so it was something that I was trying
it
to
was
find.
a surprise,
I was like trying to cope with. It was very, very sudden. Within like, he had went to the doctors, and within a month, he was gone. But
That's
he
crazy.
was the one that had told. He always told me, you know, Riley, you take things too serious. This is all made up, man. Time is man-made. Currency is man-made. Government is man-made. Jobs
very
are
true.
man-made. All of this is man-made, and it's not that serious. Like, have fun with it. So I'm like, you know, sometimes I tell myself, man, this shit's all made up. All this shit is
Let me
pretend. It's
just find a way to
make-believe.
go with it.
It's
Absolutely.
make-believe, man.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love
it's
it.
not that serious.
I love it. Thank you so much. Definitely appreciate you stopping to do this interview with us.
Yeah.
All right. And we hope that you have a great one, okay?
Thank you.
All right. Cool.